Well, we are back on another episode today, and today we are here with Jay Hernandez, who is a veteran himself, is actually in journalism, and he's still in it, right?
Yes,
Because
sir.
he got a magazine which we want to talk about. Jay, thanks so much for being on today and sharing some time with us to kind of explain a little bit about what you do and your magazine and your services. So, welcome to the show, man.
Mike, thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, let's just get into it, man. Just give a little bit of backstory about your service. Like, why did you get it? What did you do? What did you do in the service? And share a little bit about that.
Sure. So, my role when I was in the Air Force was a journalist. I worked for American Forces Network and public affairs offices. So I got to travel around the world and really tell the military story, which was, I'm going to be biased here, but I think it's the best job in the military because you get to see and do so much on what other people are doing. And it gave me a skill set that I really appreciated because I was then able to take that skill set of being able to capture other people's stories and tell that. And I'm trying to continue doing that today with Veteran CEO Magazine.
Nice. That's actually pretty interesting because I actually never knew anybody that was on or like a journalist or anything that did. I always, when you deploy, you always see it on those stations over there, AFN and all these other things. Like, oh, that's kind of cool, whatever. But like, I actually never met anybody that actually did all that stuff, and so it's actually pretty cool. I never really wanted to get into journalism, but I've been doing a lot more content writing and copywriting and things like that, and I actually kind of enjoy it.
Mhm.
Hence this own newsletter and this podcast. But so how long did you serve, and did you actually intend on staying in, or was this something that you knew you just wanted to use as kind of like a stepping stone?
That's a good question. Yeah, because so much about what I do with VCEO is actually about transitioning out of the military. So I knew when I went in that I wanted to be a journalist. I knew that. I heard about this career field, and truth be told, that what attracted me so much to it is they said, "Oh, you want to be a radio DJ," and I thought that
Yeah,
sounded like the
yeah,
coolest job in the world. So when I went to the recruiter, they said nobody gets into AFN. It's such a small career field, but I insisted, and I did pass the initial tests to do it. So I was so excited when I got into it. And the very first base they sent me to was Grand Forks, North Dakota.
yeah.
Did not do any AFN radio up there, but shortly after that, after I did my first term airman's uh, um, time there, I got picked up for AFN duty out of Yokota Air Base in Tokyo.
Nice.
So then I got to do a lot more of the radio part as
Yeah.
well. So my career, while I was doing it, was always a question of how long did I plan on doing it because I loved the job. I loved being able to go out into the field, capture stories, tell stories. Um, Being a radio DJ for Tokyo at 21 is just an awesome feeling. It's really humbling to have that much responsibility with that many listeners,
Yeah.
um, and just knowing that level of influence that we'd have as such a young person is a big responsibility.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and then when my time at Yokota was coming to an end, I actually was very fortunate. I got picked up for instructor duty back at the Defense Information School. So I got to then go and take the lessons I had learned in that time and teach the next generation of journalists coming in, which
Nice.
was all really relevant at that time. It
Yeah.
was around the time I was finishing up there. For family reasons, I knew I did want to get out. We did stay in the area for a bit, but I was able to, thankfully, again, have that developed skill set from years of working to then transition into my civilian life.
Nice. So you made the transition, which is exactly what you needed to do what you're doing now. You talk about a little bit about that transition and what you're actually doing now.
Yeah. So when I first got out, and I'll phrase it like this: when I got out of the military, I think that I had two transitions, and what I mean by that is my first transition was straight into I had two job offers to do what I was doing as a GS employee or to do it as a contract employee, basically doing the exact same thing I was already doing. And that was the easy transition because I was well networked. I was already doing the job. There was no better applicant than me, honestly, in that, because I was already doing the job that they had listed for. What happened was a couple years later, my wife and I decided to make the move to from Maryland to Texas, and that was my second transition because then I didn't have that same network. I didn't have this group of people who already knew me personally, knew me professionally, and it made it much more difficult to find work in a career field that, again, I came into with more than a decade's experience at this point. Was difficult to translate with some people. So there were some challenges doing that, and there were some positions that I just found trying to really showcase that skill set that I had built up over years. Took a lot of work for me to figure out how to translate that correctly. I was able to find that job eventually, but it took a lot more work. And there were periods where I wasn't sure it was going to work out, but eventually it did. I continue to do work in the PR realm now. And then also on top of that, I started Veteran CEO Magazine to then be able to tell stories of people transitioning and to help them through that process.
Gotcha. That's awesome, man. So Veteran CEO Magazine, what exactly is that? I mean, obviously we've spoken before. I know what it is, but anybody listening, what exactly is Veteran CEO Magazine? What does it do for the veterans? And then if you can elaborate a little bit on like what people like, what kind of services, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So veterans talking about career transition. There's a lot of veterans who actually do this, and it's a great indicator that it is such an important thing, such a big thing that so many of us go through. And I really am where I decided I wanted to go with it is Veteran CEO Magazine. I wanted to focus on the executive viewpoint. I wanted to take the people who transitioned into senior business leadership roles because I wanted to pick their brains. I wanted to say, how did you do this? How did you transition from the military to these top leadership positions? Is it different than what we did? You know, that there's resources that we're told to use. Did they use them? And it's been really interesting as I talk with people because it's a mix of yes, but also, and there's just years of preparation and work that takes place before that.
Gotcha. Now, is this digital print? Is this a quarterly, monthly thing? How do people expect to get this?
Yeah, so right now it's vceomagazine.com is the website. It's multimedia over lots of things. Gotcha. So there's a YouTube channel where you can watch the video for the full interviews. Things are broken down into shorts as well. There's a podcast for it, but then the website also has a print element where there's a short story written up for each interview subject and what they did. And it also, the website, what I like on that is it also points to a lot of these organizations and what the people I talk to, what resources do they use? Well, I add links for that as well. So if there's people who are interested in some of those links, they can check those out while they're on the website.
Okay, great. Are you taking sponsors or advertising or anything like that?
That's the big goal. So there is general advertising that takes place through there using AdSense with the website. The idea of being able to do full sponsors on there, that is a goal. As VCEO grows, the big thing is to be able to then look at all of the people who are coming through this and using the website as a resource, and then can use that to talk with companies to then get full sponsorships.
Nice. Okay. And if anybody wanted to maybe be a guest on your show, be featured in the magazine, or if they want to reach out to you for sponsorships, what's the best way to get a hold of you or to do that?
Yeah, so there's a couple ways you can do it. You can, through the website, vcomagazine.com, there's the contact us link, that's going to shoot an email directly to me, which is vceo@vceomagazine.com. So you could also just skip a step if you wanted to shoot me an email directly. But I also encourage people. I'm on LinkedIn a lot. Or Jonathan Hernandez on LinkedIn. VCEO has its LinkedIn page. That's an area where people can reach out to me. I find a lot of interaction, a lot of the reach that I do with people professionally takes place on that platform.
Okay, gotcha. Now I think I want to throw you a little curveball here, just for anybody listening. You made the transition, and technically, like, this is a business, right? You're doing a magazine and creating all this stuff. This is a business, right? Which I think a lot of veterans aspire to do. And once we start getting into it, even with myself, when I left and then I went into law enforcement, I figured out, okay, I want to do business and all this. We found out that it's not that easy. It's very difficult. And unfortunately, what is it? The percentages is like 95% of most businesses will never see their 10th anniversary, unfortunately. For veterans or anybody actually listening to this, what would be one piece of advice that you would give to anybody wanting to start a business, especially in the journalism space? Maybe they want to write their own publication, become a content creator, something like that. What you got?
That's a really good question, and a lot to dissect from there. So if I really had to choose one piece of advice, it's pick the step that is in the right direction, even if it's a small step, and do that one, and use that momentum to move forward. Like, never underestimate the power of momentum once you get going. It's when you're starting from a standstill, that's when stuff is the most daunting. That's when all the questions come in. That's when all the doubt comes up. You look at the big picture and how am I going to go through all of this? Picking that first small step and knocking that out. Maybe it's just, I need to make a contact today. Maybe it's okay, what do I need to, get registered as a business? What's one step in there that I need to do today? Accomplishing that one step will do two things. It'll help give you a visual on what the next step is. And you'll also discover that this has been probably the biggest truth of when as I'm going through this whole process, is if I had a list of 10 steps that I had to do, as soon as I started step one, there was a subset of steps within there. So all of a sudden, step one became 10 steps, and a subset in there had its own 10 steps. So 10 steps becomes 100 steps really quickly. Yeah. But I knew it was in the right direction. And as long as I took that step in that right direction, that's what keeps me moving. And now I look back a year at how many steps I've knocked out over this, which some I didn't even know were things I needed to do. But it's been moving in that direction, and hopefully 10 years from now we'll have another conversation and we'll still be rolling.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. No, that's a really solid piece of advice. I mean, you're right. There is a lot to unpack with that question, and I kind of threw that at you. But you gave some really solid advice, because I think anybody that's been down this journey before can attest to speak to the same thing. In the beginning, it's very difficult, especially when you're limited on funds. You're trying to bootstrap something, which I've done many, many times. And for me, like, I had so many different ideas that I want to do. Like, I have an interest in almost everything. Like, it's crazy, and I wanted to start so many different things. And so I would do like a lot of people did. I would start it and I would do a few things and I wouldn't get any traction. I'd get discouraged, and then I'd try my next idea. And I did this over and over and over again. And ultimately what ended up happening was I lost so much time, energy, effort, and then probably the most important thing is money. But you're right. Once you pick something that you're really passionate about or that you really enjoy doing and you start doing it, do it, give yourself 90 days, right? Hit it hard. And then when you start to see that momentum, then I think you start to see like, okay, this is happening. Things are starting to, take off, and you're starting to see the fruits of your labor, so to speak. So yeah, that was my biggest thing, man. And it was probably something that I probably should have listened to myself on that advice. So, what Jay just said, like, literally take that to heart. Find something and stick with it give yourself 90 days. Because it's going to be tough in the beginning. It's going to be very tough. And I know a lot of veterans that have tried to start a business and they did okay. And they even lasted a couple years. And unfortunately, their businesses didn't make it, but, that's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down. But Yeah, no, I
Hmm.
appreciate that, man. That's a really solid piece of advice. We'll have your information posted up on here so people can get a hold of you and reach out to you. Any last words, any thoughts of encouragement or anything?
Yeah, there's one more thing I was thinking just as we're talking.
Hmm.
Yeah, so if I can give a second piece, I'll
Yeah, yeah,
take
for sure.
advantage of this time. Um, Never underestimate how much people want to help the veteran community. That
Mm,
has been so eye-opening for me as I've gone through this and I'm reaching out to people. There is a lot of rejection with it. I won't
yeah,
lie. There's for every thing I send out there, there's probably nine no responses to the one just response I get, and then
yeah,
moving forward on there. But the folks who really want to help out with veterans, they're really passionate about it. There's a
yeah,
passionate group of people here that want to help veterans with starting a business and entrepreneurship, just life transition into civilian careers, professional careers to be highly successful. There's a lot of people who want to help do that. So whether you're a veteran trying to start their own business or just transition into the military, there's a lot of people ready and willing to help. There's a lot of resources that are available that I didn't even know about. I use the SBDC of North Texas to help me
hmm
out. I use the Texas Veterans Commission to help me. There's all these organizations that are built up to help veterans be successful, no matter what they're trying to do during that transition time. So never underestimate just how much people are willing to support veterans.
yeah, 100%. And not to drag this on much longer, but you're right, and that's something that I didn't think about when I was first starting my own business. Is I didn't actually go out there and look at all the resources that were available to me. There are thousands of resources available, which you could search the end of the internet if you want to try to find all these resources, but they're out there and they do want to help you. And that's why I decided to start, my own publication, the newsletter, and the podcast and everything, because I want to find these resources and I want to make them known and deliver them to the people such as you and me and everybody else that are in the veteran military community, that they're out there. You just got to look around for a little bit. I just found some recently the last couple weeks that are really great and they're for vacations. But anyway, so I just want to reemphasize that and say, yeah, you're 100% right, man. There's so many resources out there. You just got to look. Just take a little bit of time, energy, and effort to do your research, and you'll find it. So,
Yes, sir. And
all right, man. Why?
I plug a lot of those on VCEO magazine too. So
Okay,
if you
so
visit the
definitely go check that
website,
out.
I got a lot of resources on that website for people to check out.
Perfect. Yep. So visit the website, go check that out, and see what kind of resources are out there available to you. Jay, thank you so much for hopping on today and sharing a little bit of your story, your journey, and how people can reach out to you and the services that you're providing to the military and veteran community, man. Thank you so much.
Hey, Mike, thank you so much, and thank you for what you're doing as well.
All right, man. Take it easy.